Hello, welcome everyone who has joined us today. It is Olga Tamanova and Ukraine Media Center at Ukrinform. Right now we are going to discuss the exports of grain and food products through the Black Sea ports. We will hear from Denis Marchuk, the Deputy Chair of the Ukrainian Agricultural Council. Hello. Yes, I can hear you well. So, Dennis, we have recently seen the photos of our grain that has arrived in Turkey already. So the first ship is arrived at the first destination. So what is going to happen next and how is this procedure unfolding? Ukraine has demonstrated for the whole world that it is following through on all its obligations. After the Istanbul Agreement was signed this week, we can see that the first ship has already arrived in Turkey. It was inspected under the agreement that was signed, because the coordinating board that's there, it's going to control what exactly is transported by each particular ship, and in this case it was confirmed that this were 24 tons of corn. Then it's going to continue the travel to Lebanon. So this is a successful beginning of exports from Ukraine. 16 ships are awaiting their turn. These were the ships that did not have a chance to be used since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, and after that the ships will be registered with the coordinating board, and this will ensure further transportation under the Istanbul Agreement. So when are we going to see the next shipments? It all depends on the approval by our partners, which are Turkey and the United Nations Organization, and once they agree that they are able to receive the new set of ships, and maybe the very next week we are going to see the ships leaving the three ports, Odessa and Chernomorsk, and just like we could see on the 1st of August. So we understand that we still have remnants of last year's harvest. We also have new harvest this year. So what is the total volume? Yes, indeed. There are about 20 million tons of agricultural products in store right now. The task is to export the remaining food items from the last year and start exporting this year's harvest, because as we can see, harvesting has started. 30% of the areas planned for this season have been harvested already. And speaking of the numbers that we have in Ukraine right now, over this marketing year, we will still have to export about 50 million tons. So unless the ports properly work, the remaining food products that are being exported right now through road transport and railway and river ports, it would take 3 years to export all this. So right now we are working closely with the partners to streamline these exports, like this was done before the war. prior to the war, we could do 5 to 6 million tons per month. Of course, during the war, it will be impossible to use ports to such extent, but this is why the Ministry of Infrastructure, Ministry of Agricultural Policy is going to discuss this with Turkey and discuss the possibility of use ports in Mykolaiv. So we all discussed that when the new harvesting will start this year, the transport routes that were used for our grain before they could slow down, because in Europe their own agri producers would start their harvesting this year too. So there will be some challenges, as we can hear, in Europe with their agricultural production this year because of the drought. So in the nearest time we can see that everything is going smoothly. So in June over 2 million and in July over 3 million of grain and corn were exported using these land routes and river ports. Specifically, we could see improvements on Danube, 1.3 million tons, which is 7 times as high as in the previous months. So under the conditions of limited harvest in the countries of Europe because of the drought, we will have this additional opportunity to continue a collaboration with our European partners. Speaking of Ukraine's harvest this year, what is your assessment of it? Of course, it would not be entirely correct to make comparisons with the previous years because some of the territories are occupied. But what about the quality components? Yes, indeed, we will not have opportunity to have the same harvest as last year, over 100 million tons. It was a record number. But right now, since some territories are occupied or mined, despite that, we will have a harvest of over 50, maybe 60 million tons, which is quite a good number, and it will enable Ukraine to have food products for its own use, because in total in a year we are consuming about 20 million tons. So we would have enough for our own use from the last year, but just like in Europe, the southern regions of Ukraine, such as Odessa Oblast and Vinnytsia Oblast, are having challenges because of the drought. So this will have some impact on the fall sowing campaign, and so the drought is there not only in Europe but in Ukraine as well, and it causes some difficulties. So we understand that under the current conditions, the storage of grain will also be a challenge for our agri producers. So what's being planned in this regard? What will be done for the storage of the grain? So we are, over the time of this war, have lost lots of grain storage capacities in the occupied territories and in the territories of active hostilities. Of course, we will have difficulties because of that, but we, as the Agricultural Council, we have initiated the discussion with the Ministry and the Tax Committee to engage some alternative storage mechanisms. So over the time of this current war, there should be alleviation of taxation and introduction of additional polymer technologies to pack the agricultural products, and also to benefit from support of our Western partners such as Canada and UN representatives through its FAO mission, who have initiated today the collection of funds. So about $40 million will be provided for the purchase of packing equipment. We have similar support from Japan. So this way we will provide opportunity for the grain that's for which we not have enough place in the usual grain storage facilities. We will use these additional opportunities to store grain over a year. So hopefully we are able to restore as many storage facilities as possible and thus be able to deliver food to Western markets. We have a question here in the studio. I'm Dmitro from Ukrinform. Dennis, can you please comment about this alternative storage? Can it impact the final cost of the goods? So it doesn't imply really high costs because the price of such a sack is $1,000. It can store up to 250 tons of product. So it's not only the sacks that will be procured by the business and included in the price, but also there will be some sacks available free of charge. One more question concerning the predictability of prices once the exports are resumed. Surely the issue of price is challenging for us because the costs of producing agricultural goods are much higher right now. Previously, we were spending 5 to 6 thousand hryvnias per ton of products at the current price. It's being sold for maybe 3,000 hryvnias. So once we get this hope of resuming the proper exports, we can gradually arrive at the higher prices that are available globally. So the higher the exports through the seaports, the better the opportunity for the pricing, and this will also entail the increase of internal prices. So right now the availability of grain is much higher than the possibility of export, and unfortunately we cannot benefit from any of the cheap logistical routes. So the agri-producers are right now spending most of the money on the logistical issues. So we are truly hoping for the seaports to become available. So the first ship was with corn, then the next ones are going to transport the grain, but do we know about the prices? Well, it has to do with the contracts between the buyer and the shipper, and it's very difficult to predict the actions of the traders and everyone. So a major part in this previous stage will be taken by the insurance, because the security of the corridor that was outlined in the contract is quite challenging. So the first ship did there well. So if this continues, the pricing will adjust at the buyer's market, and so we are waiting for this. Thank you, Denis. Thank you for finding time. Thank you for joining us. This was Denis Marchuk, Deputy Head of the All-Ukrainian Agricultural Council. Follow our updates. Right now, our team is getting ready with a schedule for tomorrow. Stay with us.